A very good friend of mine and fellow mediator, and one whom I respect a lot, Kathleen Ruenlidi, said something to me some time ago that struck me. She said, litigators are like gladiators, but that a good mediator is like the conductor of a symphony orchestra. I took those words away and I spent some time thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that in that very short statement was a lot of profound truth. You see, I don't know whether there are many of us who watched the movie called The Gladiator, or who have seen movies that involve gladiators. One thing that is important in the gladiatorship is that in the gladiators who come into an arena to fight, they fight to the finish. One person comes out alive or he comes out dead. They both don't come out dead and they both don't come out alive. One person must die so that the other can live. One person must win and the other person must lose. So they go in there at all. They're not looking for any kind of conciliation. They're not looking for any kind of compromise. It's just, I need to win because it's a matter of survival. And interestingly, many times, litigation can be like that. I remembered the first time I even encountered that. I was a young lawyer working in the civil service. I was in the Ministry of Justice of one of the state governments. I think it was Oyo State government during my youth service. And I had gone to court to take a criminal appeal matter. And on the opposite side was a senior lawyer, incidentally, who was a good friend of mine, a good senior friend of mine. And the first thing he said to me that morning as I came into the place and I sat next to him, in those days, because even though I was a youth copper, because I was coming in as state counsel, even though People's State Counsel, I sat on the front row along with the senior lawyers. And the first thing he said to me was, I'm going to kill you. And I said, why now? What have I done? Why do you want to kill me? He said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to teach you some lessons today. And you know, it was not literally meant, but it left a mark on me that reminds me of what litigation is about. The other lawyer must kill the other lawyer. The other lawyer must kill the other lawyer's case, must tear it to shreds, must finish it. Otherwise, he doesn't win. They can't come out of there. I've not heard yet of a judgment at the end of a litigation where the judge said, well, I'm afraid I cannot judge in favor. I think both of you are right, so go away. It doesn't work like that in litigation. One person leaves, one person dies. Now let's switch over a little bit and compare that to what happens in your typical symphony orchestra. If you've ever been to a concert, whether with a chamber orchestra or with a full orchestra, a few things will strike you. They come in, usually in instrument groups at the time, the strings, the horns, the percussion, the brass, and so on and so forth. And the following things are obvious. Each sound of each instrument is unique and is different. The violin does not sound like the trombone, neither does it sound like the clarinet. And the timpani, of course, is percussion. It makes its own sound. Their sounds are totally unlike. And I always like to be at the beginning of an orchestra performance, because when they come in, you start hearing the cacophony of sounds. As they're trying to tune their instruments and begin to sound on the same key. And it's interesting, no instrument sounds like the other. So each one is unique in its own sound. And as a tune, then after a while, they've achieved the same key, the same level. Comes in the director, and after all the usual bowing and all the things, the claps, the applause, then of course everything goes quiet. He raises his baton, and as he raises it and he brings it down and he begins, you hear a sound, and all those different instruments, which initially were a cacophony, become a symphony. There's a sound, they sound together. The trumpet does not begin to sound like the violin, neither does the violin begin to sound like the double bass, nor the double bass pretend to be the timpani. But all of them together, when they have that glorious sound together, there is a sweetness in the unison. There is a pleasantness to the sound. And to make it even more pleasant and more enjoyable, the skill of the director gets all the people to be united in the same kind of passion. And the passion of the director is taken up by the members of the orchestra, and before you know it, all those different instruments blend into one beautiful sound. And yet none has become the other. None has lost its own characteristic. And when I think about that, I am able to validate what my friend said. That, you see, that is the job of the mediator. When people come into conflict, whether it's a communal conflict, whether it's a border dispute, whether it is even a commercial transaction in a court ordered mediation, one thing is clear: everybody is sounding on a different level. And what all the different lawyers who are representing their parties are doing is they're trying to tune. They're trying to tune to see where is that place where we can all try and sound alike. The objective of the mediation is to turn that cacophony of sounds, or let me put it this way, that cacophony of interests and needs and different things, to bring them to blend to when they come out all making the same beautiful sound that is pleasant, that they all go forward with. And you know, if you watch the members of the orchestra as they play, they have a passion not just for their instrument, but they have a passion which is also linked to the passion of the director himself, and the director becomes the focal point in which all the passions of all the various instrumentalists are united, and enhances the beauty and the fullness of the sound. And I agree that an effective mediator must be like that director of the symphony orchestra, able to get the parties around him, and yet he is not the maker of the sound. The director does not play one instrument. He does not make one sound. He does not sing, but he directs in such a way that everybody else is singing as he's directing. That is the job of the mediator, to be able to get the parties to begin to sing on the same hymn sheet, to begin to play the same sound, to be united in a way that is pleasant, not just to them, but everybody else around, and yet without playing a single one of the instrument himself, without being the one who decides what sound or how it sounds or when it sounds, but everybody has their score, but is able to lead them, guide them, direct them. So I find that is the difference between litigation and mediation. All those other instrumentalists, nobody's out there to sound louder than the other. In fact, even in a choir, even in a choral sound, you find that if one instrument begins to sound out of place, they have to tune it back to blend. You see, that is the beauty of it. In mediation, we're not trying to promote anyone. Oh, you are the best, or you are the biggest, you have suffered most, whatever it is. But at the end, we may start like that. Like I said, when at the beginning of the evening, everybody's making those introductory sounds, trying to find the key, trying to see how to put their sounds till they blend. But at the end, the ultimate thing is that they all come out there sounding as one voice, one sound, one music. Unlike the gladiator, when one person in a gladiator contest, when one person comes out bloodied or dead, even though that person wins, you say to what end? He has won, but someone has died, someone has been injured. Unlike in mediation, yes, the instruments were different, they have now blended, but they have produced one sound which is not only pleasant to those that are hearing them, but even among they themselves, it is pleasant. And if in mediation, as mediators, we can keep that at the back of our mind, that is what we want to achieve. If we can keep that as a picture, as a mental picture where we're going, I am very confident that we would achieve a lot of results in our mediations. Whether, again, as I said at the beginning, whether we're dealing with commercial transactions, or we're dealing with communal disputes, or we're dealing with host community issues, or we're even dealing with conflicts between countries, the important thing is to find that, look, gentlemen, ladies, your instruments may have different sounds, they may have different dynamics, but we can tune them all to be on the same key, and we can combine them all to make a beautiful sounding symphony. We do not have to be gladiators. It doesn't have to be do or die. We can all live together and enjoy beautiful sound. That is authentic mediation, and that is the objective